fuck you then. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, what do you mean fuck me? And I was like, nah, like, you just...
Next time, just show her. Just show it to her.
All right, cool. You ready to just hop into it?
Yeah.
All right, yo.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ayoo Chill podcast. It's June in Jersey. Y'all already know the business. And today, I got a guest today that's a little bit different than everybody I've had on today, but that's cool. We love change. We love meeting new people. My girl, please take a couple seconds, minutes, let the people know who you are.
Well, my name is Marggie P.V. Maybe I've seen some people on your page who may know me, but if you don't, let's see, how would I describe myself? Let's see. Number one, I'm Afro-Peruvian, right?
That's what's up.
Afro-Latina. Let's see. I do a little bit of production as well, and I like to dance. What else? And yeah, I'm just trying to, leave my legacy in this world, and trying to leave my mark for, see some type of change. Not to be dramatic, but I just want to make some type of impact. Is what I'm trying to say.
Hell yeah. No, I feel that for sure. So with a lot of my guests, I kind of just like to start it smooth, and let's kind of just start from the beginning. So tell me a little bit about how you grew up, and were you born in this country? Did you come to this country?
Well, I was actually born here in Jersey.
That's what's up.
Born in Jersey City, but I grew up first in Union City.
Oh, okay.
Right? Union City, and then in my early life, I moved to Clifton, and I've been there ever since. My parents, they... my dad was here before my mom in the 80s, but they were both here when I was born. So, I'm first generation.
Word.
Hispanic American. And yeah, it's like, I feel like it's been very interesting to like juggle, how do you say, like different sides or personalities or lifestyles.
Yeah,
right? Because at home, you're Hispanic, first generation, so you're speaking Spanish at home. You go to school. Union City was very like mixed, like mostly Hispanic. So I felt I felt normal there. But Clifton at the time, like now it's very like diverse. But at the time when I was there, it was mostly white. I don't like to put it that way because it's not bad, I'm saying, but I'm just saying like, a drastic change for me.
Sure, yeah.
And then trying to like fit in, I guess. And I guess I never really thought about it until like recently when I look back and I'm like, wow, yeah, I really had to fit in because, I was used to like just being like used to everybody else being Hispanic and coming from a Latino home to just me trying to, when you're a kid, you kind of feel like you need to hide that part of yourself a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then middle school, again, I saw more people like me and I feel more comfortable being like just, myself. So, now it's like, now I know how to like fit into different groups of people. But then I also come to realize you need to fit in, but you don't really need to change who you are to fit in.
For sure.
So that's kind of like, the journey that I've been through. And now I'm just like, I need to just be myself with everyone respectfully. Like,
no, hell yeah. I feel like at a certain point, you like, it's kind of like, I feel like this is what every kid goes through. Not necessarily every kid who's put in a position where it's like not diverse, but
right.
like, when you grow up with a lot of,
your identity.
Yeah, your identity. You struggle with that. And that's definitely something that I struggled with too, because even me growing up, like, my sister and my parents, like, they first came to Patterson, and my sister had, like, I guess the Patterson experience for the first couple of years of her life.
Okay.
Then we moved out to Little Falls, and that was completely different because Little Falls is just white. But it's funny because Little Falls is white, but then the high school is really mixed.
Same here. That's the same experience I had.
It was really cool. So, like I grew up, and it was weird because there were like some immigrant kids in like, my middle school.
Yeah.
But like, it was like extreme. It was like, they were either like really white, right?
Okay.
Or like, if they were like, immigrants, they were like a little bit like me where like, I could still fit in and speak English.
Right.
It was just like, no, they were completely like, hola, like that's it. You know what I mean? And they were like taking ESL, and they were already taking.
Like they came, like, okay.
Yeah, bro. Like, and it's like, when you're in ESL, bro, it's like they treat you like you off the boat every day. You know what I mean? So it's like that.
No lie though, I do remember like in high school, middle school, they always had their own group.
Yeah,
you already know.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy because even the ESL kids, even the ESL kids who like, you know, because not every ESL kid is like Latino, you know. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
not,
they come.
and some of them
This
are, you
is
know,
different.
Chinese and like different
Right,
countries,
right.
and even the ones who literally don't even speak like English,
They
can
all
kind
stick
of
together.
They all stick together,
Right.
you know? So,
I feel like that's like their comfort zone,
hell
right?
yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
like even like you feel like out of your even us like trying to fit into our environment.
Mm-hmm.
At least like because we grew up here, we know how to fit in. But imagine not being able to communicate properly. You just feel like you're in that comfort zone. You know, you're afraid to step out of there. And I've seen like kids when I was in high school who got out of that comfort zone and actually kind of like, you know, like got to mingle like outside of the ESL group and stuff. But yeah, you know, even like us, like, you know, us knowing Spanish, and we know that one kid who knows Spanish who's in ESL, like we'll talk to him, but they would still feel like weird interacting outside
Yeah.
of the group, you know? So, yeah, you know, I've thought about that too. It's
Nah,
like
I feel that. So are both of your parents Peruvian?
both of them.
Sweet. What part of Peru?
100%. All right. So they're both from Lima. Even though I have done some family history digging, I had to ask my grandmother and stuff and my mom. But starting off with my parents, they're both from Lima. My mom's from Chacarrillos, which is next to Breña. And my dad's from Barrios Altos. Proudly, that's all he talks about. Barrios Altos, this, and that. And then also my grandparents from my mom's side are from La Victoria. And let's see, from my dad's side, they're from Barrios Altos, but my grandfather's from La Victoria as well. So I also rep La Victoria. You know, I like to shout out La Victoria too.
Hell yeah.
Because I feel that's like the equivalent from both of my sides, you know. But yeah, I also found out I got a little bit from the Andes Mountains as well, from my grandmother's side, my great grandmother. I like to like, you know, explore those sides. I always heard Lima, but I'm like, hey, where else in Peru? You know, it's like Peru is, you know, there's different parts to Peru as well.
Yeah, and like depending on what part you're from, like you could be hella different. Like,
right.
Because you could be up in the Andes, you could be in the Amazon, you could be down south, you could be in the desert.
I want to find out how somebody in the Amazons, because I love that like Amazonic culture, the music, the dance. I love it. You know, I'm like I always say like my race is black, but my family is diverse. Like I feel like everyone could say, like Latinos could say that, because my family is like got a little bit of, we got black, we got some white, we got indigenous. I even have Asian from both of my sides of my parents.
I'm not surprised with that, because a lot of people don't know that Peru,
right?
You know, I think it was after World War II. I think that it was like China was going through like a Great Depression,
right, in the 1800s, around that time. That.
And then there's hella immigrants who like immigrated to Peru to work in the rice fields in Peru, and like the wheat fields out there. I don't even know what wheat fields, but like, you know, all the farms and stuff.
Yeah.
And they created their own community, and that's where you get a lot of like the mixture food, like arroz chifa, you know what I mean? Hell yeah. And that shit hit.
Right.
That shit hit
right.
So hard.
Oh my God. I try to explain to people. People don't get it. I'm like, they're like, okay, so Chinese and Peruvian. No, Chinese Peruvian. And then like, and they have that culture like passed down to them. Like you walk into a chifa restaurant, they'll speak to you like very Peruvian, you know, and then then within them they'll start talking like their language, you know, like when you got the little kids speaking like, I don't know, like Cantonese or a Mandarin, right? Like different. I'm not sure which one though, but you know, I'm saying like it gets passed down. They don't lose that heritage, but they're just as Peruvian as you and me are.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I love it. I love just the diversity and stuff, and I think that's something that really like I don't know. I feel like sometimes you lose, you know, especially when you come here to the United States and you're like, yo, I'm Peruvian.
Right.
You know, some people just be like, oh, I'm Peruvian, but you don't see too many people be like, yo, I'm Afro-Peruvian and I'm proud, or yo, like, you know, I'm Chinese-Peruvian and I'm proud, you know, and it's crazy because, you know, you always lose a little bit of something.
Right.
When you
I
come
do
to
see Japanese Peruvians rep the Japanese part a lot. Like I've met 3 in my high school who always say I'm Japanese Peruvian, and they're very into the Japanese culture and Peruvian culture. And I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty dope.
That's fire, because the Japanese culture in itself, yo, that shit's fire. Like I'm super into anime. I want to get it. I want to go to Japan ASAP too.
Yeah.
They just opened. I think they just opened up back recently to like tourists and stuff.
Okay.
So it'd be dope to head out there. Yeah.
Tokyo looks.
Hell yeah.
I like to visit Tokyo.
Yeah, and they got like a different culture. You know what I mean? Like everything like being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks more clean as well.
Word. South Korea is pretty dope too. I've been to a South Korean restaurant here, and the food is
Oh, I think Korean, like everything,
Ooh.
like out here in what not Edge. Well, they have Korean restaurants in Edgewater, but where I'm thinking about specifically, um, there's this place called oh, why am I blanking out on the name? It's Korean barbecue though. It's Korean
Okay, is it
barbecue.
when they do like in the middle of the table, they do all
Yeah,
the.
yeah, and they got the meats
Oh
blast,
my God.
yo,
There's just one
blast.
chicken. I don't know what it's called, but I can't get enough of that chicken.
Yeah, yeah. No, my favorite thing over there is the thinly sliced brisket. I can't
Is it
get
that?
enough of that.
Okay, I don't
It's
know.
like
So they have different.
this thinly sliced red meat, bro. And you just
Okay,
put it
okay.
on,
Oh,
and it sizzles and it gets nice and
so
crispy.
good.
And I hate meat that's overcooked, but that's the only thing
Word.
that you can
Yeah,
eat.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
damn,
And
this
it's
shit
soft.
smacks.
It's
Yeah,
soft, right?
yeah. It's great.
You
It's
get out of
great.
there smelling like hella like fried food, but
It's worth it
satisfied.
every time. I be taking like a nap right after. I know it's not
Right,
good, but
right,
like
right, right.
we
So
deal
good,
with
so
it.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell me a little bit more then about what I usually have people tell me. Do you? So would you say you claim Clifton as like
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know,
You know what?
right?
Like before, ever since I moved out of Union City, I was like, oh, I wish I went back and stuff like that. And I'm like, I guess mostly because of like the memories that I have attached to being Union City. Clifton, I was just like, I feel like everybody who went to Clifton High just rolled their eyes being in that high school. But then when you graduate, you're like, you know what, Clifton wasn't so bad. Because when I got to college and stuff, I guess I got to appreciate how exposed I was to different cultures in CHS.
Word.
Because they say, yeah, Clifton's the most diverse town, and everybody's like, you're a teenager, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, you think everybody else is just like you. Like, everywhere else you go is gonna be just like, your high school. But there's really like a lot of different cultures. And then when I went to college, it was just very like you either white or black, and they call that diverse. And I remember we used to have like Indians, Asians, Arabic, Polish, like
Yeah.
so I mean, and then Clifton also had like a pretty cool like music scene when I was in high school, which is where I got started and inspired with what I do now in Clifton. And I'm just like, wow, why doesn't Clifton have more of like more funds for like the arts program there? Because I know so many talented producers, musicians, rappers, and singers from Clifton. And so now I'm just like, because of those people that I know that come from Clifton, now I'm like, I rep Clifton because everybody's repping their own town. People repping Montclair and all these different towns. And I'm like, nobody reps Clifton. So I'm like, yeah, Clifton.
Yeah, now you got it. You got it because it's like, damn, this is your ship. This is your ship, yo.
Because it's about the people, It's like one thing is like City Hall and whatnot. And I feel like the newer generation, like we have like this same like mentality of like it's very arts driven, and it's just like like I see the future in Clifton, and I'm just like I don't want to just write off Clifton because of like whatever experience I had from like my past. Like I'm seeing in the present, and I'm just like it's actually not that bad, and I feel like people should appreciate the community more.
For sure,
and build it.
It's always kind of hard. Before I get on with my next question, what I wanted you to do, and what I've had everybody who come here from the city describe Clifton for me.
Oh man, describe Clifton. Like what? What specifically? Like in general?
Like just in general, describe the town to me, yo.
I don't want to say the word diverse because I've been saying diverse. So Clifton in one word. That's a tough one.
And one word, many words, however, even whatever's on your brain, bro. Just vomit into the mic. It's all good. It's a podcast. Is what we're here for.
Okay. I would say Clifton it's a small town, but very. How do I say it? Clifton's like a hidden treasure. Because it doesn't look like much. You go around Clifton, doesn't look like much, but if you dig deep enough, you'll find that there's a lot of I want to say talent in Clifton, or a lot of there's essence there that's hidden, and there's somebody needs to bury it and really dig it out. Clifton is how do you say it? I'm trying to find a word for it. It's very I don't know. I can't find a word, but it's like it's trying to stay the way it is, but there's something that's trying to
come out of it.
Right.
You can use Spanish too. if you want.
Right. I guess the word is hidden because that's just like, it just describes everything, not just within the town itself, but it also, it's like, I feel like there's this old generation and new generation that's like
Kinda
clashing. And the new generation is just kind of like, I need to get out of here, you know. But this old generation is trying to keep it the way it is. And the new generation's kind of like, we need to stir things up.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. You know, that's like a common theme with a lot of towns that it's like, because Clifton is like, Clifton definitely feels like a city. It doesn't feel like a suburb. Like, and especially like, I'd have friends, you know, like, you know, I'm actually in Clifton at least once a week. At least, because my boy lives in Clifton, and he lives like on one of those streets where all the houses are like together. You have that tiny front lawn, but then you have the little backyard where you could have a little getty, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it always feels like too small to have a big party, but somehow you be getting the whole
people show
gang
up.
together,
Right.
you know? You're not supposed to have a pool in your backyard, but somehow we fit the pool, you know what I mean?
Clifton isn't what it seems.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
For
You just
sure.
hear Clifton, you're like, oh yeah, it's just another suburban town. But if you've been in Clifton, you know the people in Clifton, you know that's not what it seems.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
And it's funny how a lot of people, that's right, you know, you have a lot of people just like, yo, I need to get out of here, you know, and it sucks because the whole point of June in Jersey and what we've been doing here in this podcast, and especially me talking to everybody this month, has been everybody on a bigger scale, artist-wise, musician-wise, not necessarily all entrepreneurs, but in the artistic space, it's always like, I need to get out of Jersey.
Yeah.
I need to go to California. I need to go to Florida.
New York.
I need to go to New York. You know, I just can't
Atlanta.
stay in Jersey.
Yeah.
Because it's been a common theme that I've heard people say is like, there's no love in Jersey.
I was about to say that about Clifton, but you're right. In Jersey, that's how people feel about Jersey in general.
And you know, I think it's a stigma and it's a barrier that I won't say is not true, but based on basically what I've been doing this month and seeing all the behind the scenes, I really think it's just a lack of foundation and a lack of people taking accountability. But it's like there's nothing there to take. There's no accountability to be taken that's prideful. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like if I went up into the Grammy stage right now and I was like, yo, I'm a musician from Jersey, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? They'll be like, who? What? Okay, cool, you're from Jersey. What does that mean?
Right.
You know, I'm a really successful artist who's making it in Jersey. He's like, where are you making it in Jersey, bro? There's nowhere to make it in Jersey. And I think what I've found is that with the foundation that's being set now, people need a place to go. I've actually said this example in a lot of podcasts previously now. I kind of compare it to sports. Are you into soccer?
Oh, I love soccer. I don't follow like Barca and like Real
it's
Madrid,
cool,
but when Peru plays.
Oh, hell yeah. No, we out. Yo, by the way, shout out to all the Peruvians who are heartbroken. You know what I mean, too? Like,
yeah, like my coworker says, estoy de luto.
Yeah, because
I was wearing black that day. He's
yeah,
like, "Estás de luto."
my God. So for the listeners who don't know, we fumbled the World Cup. Well, you're not gonna see us in the World Cup this year. You're not gonna see our amazing fans voted number one after Russia.
No comment.
It is what it is.
That's a whole other topic right there. No comment.
Yeah, it's crazy. I will just add one quick thing there though. I'm a really huge New York City FC fan, like the soccer team, MLS.
Okay.
I'm a huge MLS fan. I have season tickets to my team and stuff.
Okay.
They have a proven player on. It's Alexander Callens, right?
Okay.
I've been preaching for him since he got on the team. Like I was with him, like, you know, like when he started, I gave him my personal Peruvian flag. I was like, you're going to make it to the first team. Like, I know you're going to make it. And then when he finally made it and they finally gave him a chance, he started killing it. He's on the tabloids in Peru. You know the tabloids, they kill it, bro.
Yeah.
They rip people. And they're like, bro, they're like treating Alex like great, you know?
Yeah.
And then like now not seeing him.
Like you put Peru's name up there, especially like over here, like they'll let you know in Peru.
And it's like, yo, like him not making it to the World Cup like breaks my heart, man. It's heartbreaking. But 4 more years, bro. We'll see how it goes. It's 4 more years.
We need to win the Copa America first. Is what I say.
Yeah. No, we definitely need to do that. But you know what? This is a perfect example. Meshing what I was just saying to this, because it plays a really important point. In soccer, it's all about like, you know, foundation. It's all about like building up a team and making sure that there is kind of a funnel for people to move up, right? So for example, like in any sport, when do you start playing sports? When you're like in middle school, right?
Right.
And then you have the kids who are just doing it for fun, And then by high school, you see the kids who actually want to pursue it.
Right.
So then you knock down a whole bunch of people who don't want to play soccer. Then from high school, you get into the bigger competition where it's like, all right, the best players from all these high schools are all going to go to college and play soccer in college.
Right.
And out of all those college soccer players, only very few will make it professional. Right. And it's that foundation. And then it's like, for those professional players who make it, great. It's amazing. It's a dream to be part of the one of 11 players that play for one single major team. Right.
Yeah.
But how many of those soccer players who didn't make it to the major leagues are coaches now, who are leading the education and setting the foundation for future players?
Right, passing down their wisdom.
Passing down the windows. How many people work within the organization? How many people turn into promoters for the sport who really are so in love with the sport? And it's like, where's that in Jersey? And I think this generation right now, and I've been talking about it, and it's going to sound my bias because it falls right around my age group. I think this generation is going to be the generation to change it for Jersey.
I feel the same way. Everything you just said, I've been saying it as well. Kind of like how I said we were talking about Clifton. I feel like it applies to Jersey, because don't you feel like there's like this old generation and this new generation that is just kind of like, one is trying to like withhold like restraint from making that progress, and the new generation is like, hey, what if we do this? Why don't we have more of this? And I feel like our generation is going to be the one to I feel like Jersey's going to look different 50 years from now.
Oh yeah, and I'm not even looking at 50. Jesus.
And
Christ.
even if you look back, I mean, look at like if we're still talking about artistry, look at who came out of Jersey, and people don't even know about it.
Yeah.
Beginning with the Fugees. Count Basie, if you want to go even further, most people don't know that they're from Jersey because it's like, well, Fugees, they do rap Jersey, but it's like they don't really say Jersey because kind of like how you say, like, people aren't gonna care that you came out of Jersey.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a lack of community.
Yes, there's a lack of community, and there's lack of people who actually like I think there's a lack of community because there's not enough places to have a community. It's one thing to have a community online. That's dope. That's great. But it's like
somewhere people to go.
Art thrives on performance and the physical aspect of the art. Like,
and whose fault is that though? What do you say to people in charge like City Hall and stuff? They don't fund the arts. The one city that stands out to me that's doing great is Newark, because they're really putting their money into the arts over there. The mayor right now, what's his name? Raz Baraka?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I think that's his name. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but I'm pretty sure that's his name. He's really like funding the arts over there. I think I had a friend who lives in Newark that during the pandemic, they even created like a loan you could, or is it a grant that you could apply to, and if you got accepted, they would give you money to fund your if you're like a creative, pretty much, they would give you money to fund your project from the actual city. And you see a bunch of festivals going down over there, and it's very like arts like, how do you say, arts focused.
Yeah.
That's why I love going to Newark, because it's just like, there's always something going on there. The people there, I feel like, because you feel like you could express yourself and you're allowed to express yourself, people are just more like, like, you be you and I'll be me. It's like there's no judgment there, and it's like this beautiful artistry that's coming out of there as well. That it's just, I don't know, it just stands out to me, and I'm like, that's like the blueprint for Jersey, in my opinion. Like, if people were to be more like that with Jersey, where you tell a specific like community, like the arts community, music community, hey, like, you're seeing and we want to help you, do what you want to do. You feel like you could express yourself, like you have somewhere to go, then people are naturally just going to bloom from there. It's and then you have something where there's something going on, it naturally attracts everyone else from like even out of state. Where I feel like the online thing comes in, because everything is online now. And if people see that there's something going on stirring up in Jersey, then people are like, oh, what's going on there? Like, I want to go visit Jersey and see what's up, And then that's where Jersey starts to like, get rep, like, in my opinion, because I feel like that's what New York does. Everybody wants to go to New York. If you're a creative and somewhere around the world, you need to go to New York because that's where the arts community is. That's where everything is. You can find anything in New York, all types of cultures and music and performances. Besides the concerts, right? I'm talking more like small community stuff that you can find in New York. It's like a whole adventure over there. And I feel like Jersey is like, it could be the same thing if the city would allow it to happen. Yeah, and I feel like it's gonna start in Newark, in my opinion. Newark for now, Newark is what I think.
It's weird because it's funny. It's kind of like a two-parter right there. We'll kind of dissect it a little bit. Because the first thing you mentioned when you were talking was who is to blame. And then the second thing I want to talk about, what you said there, is the townships putting money into the communities, which is funny because that's actually something that I actually haven't had anybody bring up on a podcast so far as artists or anybody else. And it's funny, so let's get into the first thing real quick. Who is to blame? Although I agree with the whole funding of cities and funding the arts, I 100% agree about that. And any support is great support. I think when it comes to who is to blame, I think there's a lack of leadership in Jersey. And you know what? When I'm thinking about now and kind of just going through like, okay, the township's giving money. Yes, they could give money, and that's great. And they'll help a lot of artists, and giving them a space to be themselves and giving them the financial support is amazing. Right. But for example, the townships aren't going to be networking with artists from Arizona, artists from California to come out to Jersey. I mean, they could advertise it, right? And have a space, right? But to have like someone who's actually on the boots in the ground doing that is like completely different. And I feel like it's also way more grabbing to other people because it's almost like the town is always going to be the big man. You know what I mean? And it's like, you don't want to take shit for the big man. And like I said, I have nothing against government. Right. I'm not like that. I'm with it.
Yeah.
But like, for example, for the podcast we got planned later this year, hopefully, is that I'll be headed out to Arizona. I'll rent out an Airbnb. And I know there's a huge music community out there. I already have some links out there. Okay. And they'll all just come in and we'll all just do a whole bunch of podcasts. I'll get a bunch of content, come back here, put it out in Jersey, right?
All right.
When I make that link over there, and they have a whole bunch of show venues that they're doing over there. And then when we start getting shows popping out here, I'll be like, yo, you got a place to perform here.
Right.
And then I'm their link.
Creating that link.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because it's like, for me, I wouldn't go to, the first thing in my head to going anywhere when I go to Cali is not going to the township to ask where I could perform, but it's like going to the people.
Right.
And then now.
Right, because that's what you want. You want to connect with the people.
And then shifting it more is like, damn, it's like, who's really to blame? Like, even after that. And I think when you think of lack of leadership, all I'm saying is like, if you're talking about who's running hip hop right now, or who's the most famous person from hip hop, who coming for Jersey, and what are they doing for us? Well, and it's wild because you could still see how much of an impact all the rockers who came from Jersey were, and how influential that still stands till today. Like, for example, Asbury Park. You know what I mean?
Bruce
How many rockers were there? Bruce Springsteen,
John Bon Jovi,
even like the one of the guitar players from My Chemical Romance. Like there's rock. Right. Ingrained in Jersey.
Yeah.
And out of all the genres you could go,
because they make it known that they're from Jersey.
Yeah. And out of all the things that you could perform in and it'd be accepted almost everywhere is rock.
Right.
Any place that you go into. And even cover bands, have you ever been to Just Jake's in Montclair?
No.
Just Jake's is like they have a whole bunch of live bands there. And,
no. Yeah, I have been recently.
And they'll have rock, they'll have some pop stuff.
Yeah, I've been to Just
have
Jake's,
a lot of coming
like
out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. And when you're 6 beers down, you're screaming your head off.
And oh my God, it gets packed.
Hell yeah,
it gets packed.
Has that venue ever done a hip hop night?
That I know of?
Nope. And then it's like all these other small grungy places to do.
I have seen though the Meat Locker do more rap.
It's fun.
Stuff.
I've performed at the Meat Locker before.
That used to be like a metal rock scene, and then pre-pandemic, I started going there because of the more of like the rap stuff that was going on. Not necessarily I listened to everything, but because of the people that my friends were performing, they happened to be performing at those shows, and I'm like, they do didn't know they do shows like that over here.
Yeah,
It's
it's weird performing in a meat locker too because it's hot
and
in
the
there.
people went.
Yeah, people
and
went.
the people
show
went.
up. And their PA system is definitely for rockers because let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Like we had to bring our own PA stuff, and it was to the point where like I had my laptop, and when you kind of have to play around with the wires just to make it work, and I was just like, please, just don't move during my whole performance, please.
Right.
But yeah, basically like that's where I kind of feel like accountability falls. I feel like the people who have been the most successful in hip hop have not really done much for Jersey at all, and like what they've done is cherry picked the people who are most talented, and I think that also comes from them worrying about the money less than they're worrying about the love, and I think that it was too hard to go for the love and it was way easier to go for the money, so that's what they did. And you know what, like some people are like, oh, I can't blame me for chasing the bag, but to be honest, fuck y'all, yo. Like that's just how I feel about it. It's like, where's the love? Where's the community? You could have built something, but you chose not to. And now you're almost broke and you're trying to sign more artists. So what are you doing? I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, that's kind of where I feel about that. But let's kind of move to kind of having the community aspect of I've never thought about towns really giving money. What else do you know about what's going on in Newark?
Newark. I feel like there's one thing that stood out to me about Newark is that, because I know Jersey City, they also have their own thing going on.
Jersey City is like my second home, bro. I love Jersey City.
But Newark has like this kind of like spiritual movement going on. And I feel like, I've dug into some history on Newark, especially with like, after like the whole like, 2020, during the summer with the Black Lives Matter protests being like at its peak during that time. The first one I went to was in Newark. I don't know if you remember, there was like this big march in Newark.
Yeah.
And I remember it was organized by the People's Organization for Progress. And the main person there who spoke was, his name is Lawrence Ham, which he ran for senator. Cory Booker's the senator, right?
Word.
Okay, he ran against Cory Booker, and he was part of the civil rights movement. He knew MLK, and he had so much wisdom to share that it just got me curious to like dig deeper into Newark's history, and just like a lot of towns, like it was once a white town, and during the civil rights movement, when segregation like was, when JFK pretty much banished the whole segregation that was going on in the schools and whatnot, a lot of people, like, white people, like, they left the town and they took the money with them because the businesses, what Newark was pretty much thriving off of, the businesses, which I can't think of what it was right now. They took that with them to the suburbs, and the people, like, that's when the riot broke out of somewhere in, I forget what year, the 1970s, I think it was.
Word, yeah.
Excuse me. I feel like there's people watching me right now who knows, like, they're like, it's called this and that.
No, it's so Gucci,
but the point is that, Newark has been through a lot. It's been through a lot of struggles, which a lot of cities have as well and are going through right now. Patterson, maybe even Passaic, like, I'm naming like Passaic County because that's where we are at right now. Well, where I'm from, at least, But, I feel like Newark's at a point where they're like, I don't know, this like, it's kind of like where you either pick two paths. You either pick a path where you want to stay where you are and you just take it out on everybody else, or you're on a path to where like, okay, where do we go from here? Like you want to like, this is like this, the best art comes from the most struggling environments, in my opinion. And I feel like there's just like not like this beautiful rebirth going on in music and arts in Newark. And it just shows with like the artists, a lot of them just like, especially the newer generation, have a lot to say, and they're not afraid to speak their feelings and what they're thinking of, and not even like just letting out their emotions like in anger, but it's just like really being realistic, like, like transparent on like look at your surroundings, like this is where we need to be, and everybody's just like very like open and accepting of who they are and who you are, and there's a sense of community that's like, I'm like, it's like, this is what I want to see more of, and it's just like, it just shows in the music, at least, and it's just Newark, if you go to a lot of like, have you ever been to a show in Newark?
I have not yet.
You'll see a lot of like spoken words going on, and then you'll see like an artist painting on the side as they're performing, and there's this very like soulful feeling to the music that's coming out of there. There's a lot of joyfulness, I feel.
Do you still head out to these events?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to. I feel like things are starting to pick back up after like pre-pandemic. I was everywhere. I was like trying to go here, here, here. Recently I went to, there was like a block party by this like clothing brand in Newark, the Brown Milk Company.
Okay.
They had like a whole block party for their first year anniversary, and it was pretty cool. It's like, if I felt like I was like in Brooklyn, for a lack of better words, and Brooklyn, how Brooklyn is, just like very like I don't know. It felt like
artsy,
yes,
hipster,
yes.
Yeah.
That's Brooklyn is pretty much. I should say Newark is pretty much a version of Brooklyn for Jersey, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like that paints a better picture of what I'm trying to get at. And if like, I feel like that's like a step in the right direction, not because we're trying to be like New York, but I just feel like New York has this like sense of like community, of course, with everything else that's bad about, that's going on in New York. There's a lot of good like that comes from it as well. It's like, people aren't over here. So you pass by somebody and it's just like, New York is also the same way. So you don't really talk to strangers.
Yeah.
But if you like from around the block, like people know each other, it's like that sense of community. I feel like Newark is like, at least with the arts, it's just like, I feel like it's just going to spread from there, and Jersey City as well.
I'm definitely more familiar with Jersey City and everything that's going out there for sure. I know there's a whole music scene out there that's trying to like, come up. I know there's an art scene out there for sure. Like they started painting all these murals around Jersey City, and that shit's crazy.
Yeah.
But to talk about like Newark like that, like it's crazy because it's like
Yeah.
I've never really like got into the community there so far. The most I know is like performing at the NJ Pack, going to Devils games at Prudential Center,
Right. That's
going to Penn Station and taking the train, and everything. Like, that's basically like the biggest part, like I've experienced.
Yeah.
But that's wild, for sure. Do you know like places like what it's called, like like where
that's the thing. It's like just kind of, there's like no place to pinpoint really. It's just like about like who pretty much. I know before I used to go to Frequency. She used to do like open mic / showcases pre-pandemic, and I met a lot of people through her shows. They're pretty dope. Like I've used like after that I would see them everywhere. At the moment I can't think of. Well, there's also Evolu Culture. They do a lot of spoken words events. Who else? Vibes in the City. That's another one right there. And the Cryo Cave used to be a spot too, where they're renovating everything now. The Cryo Cave, they've moved, like changed locations. Those are some spots that I used to go to a lot. And then from there's like the people that you met at those events, they would do their own events. And, like there's like this growing community in Newark. And I think the main thing about it, like music is about expression. And I feel like the city is expressing the movement that's going on there. I feel like it's just like this cry out for change that's going on in Newark. And they're just like, using their art, their talents to say that, and you feel it, and it's like, it attracts you because then, like we all want to see the same changes, the same positive changes in our own communities. So it's like, I feel that's what attracts me towards that city. So, yeah. And I guess that's also what I kind of want to see in Clifton as well. So, yeah, people say like, oh yeah, Montclair and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's just like, it's this powerful movement going on over there.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
That. So why don't kind of shift the conversation a little bit?
Yeah.
So you're this Latina girl growing up, didn't feel like she fit in. Parents are Chimpucayo. I had to add there.
Well, they're not from Callao, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, Chimpucayo.
You always like. I feel like that's always Even if like you're not like from
You're
Cairo
not,
and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
like it's always
People
like
find out you're Peruvian, like, oh, chimpo. You're
and
like,
then you know, it's funny. I actually have these Peruvian at the soccer games, like this Peruvian group because there's a Peruvian player, right?
Yeah,
and they always, I'm like, it's crazy. I rep Peru hard. Like every single game, I wear my what's it called, the flag, like a cape every single game. I don't care if I look like a goofball, bro. I go there and I don't give a shit, bro. And I go there and I wear my cape, and all of them are always coming by me like, hey, and they're always drunk as shit, bro.
Oh my god.
Like, bro, on their asses, bro. And they trying to talk to me, and they always grab your shoulder a little too hard. And they're like, hey,
you're just like,
and I'm like, yo, motherfucker, yo, let go, motherfucker, damn, like, chill, you know, like.
What about the same way? It's like you rep Peru, but then like you see and you're like, bro, why you gotta be so extra like that? Like,
I was like, bro, it's 3:00, bro. Why you on your ass, bro? And he's like, hold on, my kid's calling me. I'm like, yo, how do you have kids?
Being black, this is a pet peeve. And if you black from Peru, you probably, like, even in Peru, they see you black, you Peruvian, the first thing they say, vamos pa Chincha familia. And I'm like, I'm not from Chincha, first of all. Like, you know, just because I'm black, they're going to say it. Because I don't know if you know, like, Chincha, that's where all the black people are. Well, one of the places, but it's like mostly known. And that's just like what they say. I'm just like, you know, that's the one thing I would say. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So talk to me about what you did straight out of high school.
Straight out of high school? What do you mean, like with my life?
Yeah, with your life, you know?
You know what? I feel like there's always like, you know, transitions are always weird. I feel like everybody had like, they knew exactly what college they wanted to go to, like junior year, beginning of senior year. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Because my sophomore year, I had a project called Immortal Revolution / Underground Innovators. Well, Underground Innovators was a series within IR21. My friend and I started. And it's kind of like, we kind of started like the idea of like I said, I was inspired by the music community, or it wasn't even really community, but there were a lot of talented people in my high school. And I'm like, why don't we start like something to just like, you know, build a community within all these people and just kind of like help them like push forward their, you know, identity as musicians or singers and whatnot. After we did like this talent show, we're like, why don't we just make this a thing, you know? And then we started like this YouTube channel junior year. And then that's kind of where I started like exploring outside of my high school, because Paul B, shout out to Paul B. We were just like, you know, you're talking about Paul B. I met him through one of my friends. There was this rap group called Legacy in my high school, and they performed at this showcase where Paul B was hosting. And then I told him what I was doing. He said, yeah, I go to all these events. Like, I'll let you know. I went to Newark, I went to Jersey City, and I started like just capturing on video all these different like, you know, like open mics that were going on and posting it on our YouTube channel. And then I'm like, I want to do something like this, you know, like I want to learn more marketing and more of like, you know, music, and just like trying to help out artists, you know, do what they love for a living. Cause, you know, when you're in high school, you don't have a musician as an option. You need to have a career, you know, and you're like, and you feel like, oh, I can't do what I love. And we're like, no, we need to change that, and start something up. So, but then it's like, I don't know. I just didn't know where to start. So I was kind of like, I would say like after high school for like the next 2 years, I was a little lost of where to go. You know, I had like this little, like I even, like my friend and I, we stopped the project. He moved to like Chicago, and he wasn't like in Jersey anymore. So it was kind of like this stop point. But then when I went to Willie P and William Patterson, it kind of brought that spark back, because there was this like arts community going on over there. And then that's where Blue Man J came through, because I was like, let me just like, you know, I started going to these different shows, and I'm like, let me start capturing this on video again. And it just kind of started back up from there. And then just like, I guess I just kind of had like this, like my own little self-identity journey of like, what am I going to do with my life, you know, for the next 2 years of high school. And then after that, after those 2 years, when I went to Willie P for media production, it just kind of brought that spark back. And it's just kind of like, okay, like I kind of see what, like, what I want to do now. And I started meeting all these people and stuff. So ever since then, I just been building Bloom NJ, trying to form like an online presence where people could just go and find cool, like very talented independent artists and kind of spotlight them in Jersey, so people do know that there is something going on in Jersey, and just yeah, and then there's that, and then doing a little bit of dancing as well, because I always loved dancing, and kind of gave up on it a little bit at one point because I'm like, oh, I'm probably too old to like take classes and stuff. But then it's like your
Too
sister,
old.
yeah, because I'm like, most people start off like when they're like really young. I've always danced like Afro-Peruvian stuff and nothing else. And then like your sister was like, yeah, come with me to these classes. And she's pretty much opened the doors for me to that. So, I guess it's like I'm trying to live my life as like trying to inspire others to just do everything that you love and don't write things off just because of like whether people tell you or what you think you're supposed to be in your life. Just get it started. You don't know where it's going to lead you, because like I feel like doors just open up once you get something started,
For sure. For sure.
so yeah, with Bloom, it's like I'm just trying to create more content to help bring some spotlight to independent artists here in Jersey, as well as just like helping out other people wherever I can within the community. Yeah, and to really just keep it going and keep it growing as well. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Okay, dope. So, what do you feel are your biggest obstacles that you face within trying to promote everybody in Jersey?
I feel like my main obstacle is that I want to help out everyone, but then when you try to help out everyone, it's kind of like, how do you say this? Trying to find a way to help everyone, but to also spotlight, how do you say it? You know what I'm saying? Like the ones that really need to be spotlighted. You know what I'm saying? This is like, this is what people should be listening to in Jersey. Like people say like, oh, Jersey doesn't have a sound, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like there are key artists that really need to be out there, that, they need to be pushed in.
It's hard. It's
yeah.
hard.
And then, I'm saying, like, I want to help everybody else because, like, I want to help everyone because, you got to, like, I'm all about, like, doing what you love, go for it. But then also it's like, it comes to a point where you're like, if you really want to give an independent artist an opportunity, right? And you want to make sure that people are going to tune in knowing that they're going to leave following the artist and hearing their music and all of that, you really need to, like, weed it down.
I know what you're saying.
Like,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Trust me. You're saying it in the most polite way. You're saying it in the most polite way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say it I'll kind of say how it needs to be said. I can say it because fuck y'all. It's my podcast.
You go ahead.
If you ain't shit, no, I'm playing. No. I actually definitely get that, and it's crazy because it doesn't come from a place of like it's very tough. And remember how I was talking about before about the other people who I'll leave nameless right now. You could think whoever I was talking about before with who's to blame for there not being a community in Jersey,
right?
It's because they thought about the money first. But there comes to a certain point, as a business owner, as a small business owner who's trying to get their shit out there, and trying to help people come up.
Right.
There's certain people you feel like you need to give more time and faith into because they actually they either got their shit together. Like for anybody listening right now, it's like you could have as much passion and love as possible. And that's something that you will need to keep like a flame, and you need to keep inside you to further pursue your success. When you have your highest highs and your lowest lows. It comes in and out every single day, dude. Like even with this podcast, dude, I've had super highs where I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And I've had times where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like what am I doing? Like I'm just going to drop everything and get a 9 to 5,
Same.
But you need to be prepared as an artist. You need to be prepared the people who aren't prepared for opportunity are the people who will probably not succeed. And it's hard because coming from you, right? It's, again, what a lot of people might do is they take it what you say personal, right? You said it very eloquently. I'm not gonna lie.
I think this is the first time I even say something like that, because at first, like, the way I used to view everything when I first started Bloom and J and Underground Innovators, like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, I want to give everyone a platform, considering, there were certain people I'm just like, I don't know, but
don't trust me. I deal with the same thing on the podcast.
Yeah, but no, most of the time it's like, like, for example, like, I'll go to an open mic, film people, the best I like from the open mic, post it. Yeah, then, like, come onto my channel, whatever. Cool. Cause I feel like it was just like, I just wanted to showcase the what was going on in Jersey, like a vlog. But then, recently I started thinking, it's like, I felt like I was just like, I love music. Music drives me. I listen to every type of music from different cultures and genres and eras. And I'm like, I want to feel that same passion for what I do. And I get that when I see an artist that I love their music. They're great with their live performances. And they know how to, like, how to push their stuff. Like, they know how to, like, I feel like that's another thing about artists. Like, some people are very talented, but they don't know how to, like, market it. Or some people know how to market it, but the music isn't there,
There's a certain point where you level up, too.
Yeah. And I guess, like, everybody doesn't have the same resources. That's another thing, which is where that's another thing that I want to do. I want to provide people with the resources that they need to take their talent, like, take their artistry to the next step. But then it's like, when you think about the artists that are ready to, like, that they deserve the spotlight that they deserve, it's like I want to help out those artists too. And I want to connect the people to the music. And I want the people that tune into, Bloom and J, for them to be like, I want to stick around and see where this goes. Whereas it's just like, I feel like if it's too broad, it's like people are just like, okay, I see what's going on. But it's like, you need to, like, pick something where people are like, keeping them at their toes and see, like, get them familiar with, like, wanting them to build a relationship with, like, I'm like, oh, I'm into the scene. I'm into the Jersey scene. You're like, what do you mean Jersey scene? Yeah, let me show you what, first impression, and it's like, making sure that they're going to, like, stick around for these artists that deserve the spotlight. Not deserve because, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to say deserve because somebody else doesn't deserve, but it's just like because they put in the work and they got the talent and that, I guarantee you see them live, you're gonna love that performance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's definitely a touchy subject because this is the difference between I'm just doing this for fun to, like, nah, we're doing something on a next level type of thing.
Right.
And like I said, I always feel like it's easiest for people to kind of come back and connect it with sports. It's like, yo,
it's like, dude, you gotta see this. You gotta listen to this
for sure. It's like on tryouts. It's like for me, this is how I view the future of Jersey and how it's gonna work. Number one, it's like we need a foundation. The foundation's kind of already there for, like, open mics, but consistent open mics. People where it's like you're gonna find the hole in the walls there. You know what I mean? You're gonna find the people who are just like, yo, where have you been? Then there's going to be another tier where there's going to be performance lounges where you can have people where you can perform and actually, like, get a group of people who are consistently going.
You know what? All those things that I want people from around the world to come to Jersey and go to these open mics and showcases. And I feel like the one way to attract them, people always think like, oh, if one artist makes it, we all made it. And which is, it could be true, but I wonder, it's not just one artist. Like, I want there to be, like, a culture here that people know is like, oh, this guy, this person, this group, I mean, and because of them, they'll come to Jersey, and then everything else going on, it's like, whoa, let me check this out. Like, it brings opportunities
for sure
for everyone else,
for sure, 100%. And it's crazy because even what you just said, it's like, yo, when that one artist makes it, boom, and it's like, nah, and like, no. Yo, look at heads from Jersey,
right? There've been artists already.
Yeah, you got Charlie Puth, Lana Del Rey's from Jersey. You got prayers up to Lil TJ. I hope he's doing better, but he's from Jersey as well.
Right.
You got I'm not gonna say any rockers, but I mean, like, even like, like Fetty Wap was the biggest shit to happen to Jersey since, like, forever. And we're still hearing the same song at Coachella like 10 years later, and it's like he has his own company, and I give him props too, because he's doing his thing. And then there's like other artists too who he has working on and who are trying to come up. And there's Coi Leray. Coi Leray is very talented as well, but like, in what place would Coi Leray ever perform in Jersey where she could get hella heads there who will be singing her music?
Right.
I can't name one place.
Like, people will probably go to like her concert and then dip.
Yeah,
like how, it has to be something where people know that they're going to stick around and like, I want to check out this place while I'm here and this place. And, people, I want to come back,
Yeah, and it's weird because, people talk about Montclair, and I think the only reason some people talk about Montclair is because the Wellmont Theater got upgraded recently.
Okay.
And it's cool. They got this little courtyard thing going on, and now they have their own private parking garage. So you could park right next to the Wellmont, like literally right there. It's on top of it, and literally like just chill there and be out there, and like there'll be hella heads out there,
Right.
But at the same time, it's like Montclair's not necessarily like nightlife, Like, there's no nightlife in Montclair besides, if there's a show in the Meat Locker, which is like how many people are going to be in there, and then or if there's a show at Just Jake's,
Yeah.
And then besides there's like besides that there's a local bar. I think Just Jake's is like the only music scene.
It's just
really.
it's a lot of bars and like cafes
And Just Jake's would never do anything hip hop there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, I think there's a shift, there's a movement with music and how it's shifting. Like, that's a whole nother topic, but for sure. So in your journey so far, because I peep a little bit. I peep a little bit. How do you become a good networker? Because it seems that somehow everybody who I've talked to on this podcast so far, some way, somehow, I could always see is like, MarggiePV follows them. And I'm like, damn.
Seriously?
I was like, what you mean? I was like, damn. I was like, and then like, it'll always come up. Like, how you see like the
right,
people
like who follows.
It always comes up. I'm like, damn, like she really be following everybody, bro. Like, what is up with this, And it's funny because like I'm trying to do the same thing, network and talk to everybody.
Right.
And it just seems like, you've just had your boots on the ground way longer.
Okay.
So like, what have you seen and how do you become a good conversationalist? How do you network these people?
It's like an oxymoron almost, because I have seen a lot of people that I do know on your podcast, but then also it's like me, I've always been like very introverted. I've had to push myself to be social.
That's funny.
But then it's like the trick was to be social because you're naturally want to get to know a person versus forcing it. I don't like when people force it, because then that when people are just trying to like force themselves to talk to you, and I don't want to look like I had like some hidden agenda, like I'm talking to you just because of this reason, and then it took a lot for me to just be comfortable. I'm like with socializing, and I feel like that kind of goes back to like what you said about high school, that those years where I just kind of took time to work on myself and really get out of my shell and be comfortable just being I feel number one, be comfortable being your own. For anybody who's like socially awkward, who's trying to get into networking and you feel like, I don't know how to communicate, I don't feel comfortable like, socializing. First, be comfortable being yourself, be comfortable being you. Don't feel like, once you get out of that mindset of like, how can I get this person to like me? And you're just being yourself, then I feel like that's the first step forward. And then number two, I've always been naturally curious, I've been like, I'm someone who wants to like travel and see places, but then it's like, I don't need to get out of Jersey to see new places, So I think it's just started off with like, just kind of like, have you seen Yes Man with Jim Carrey?
I haven't seen Yes Man, but
you haven't?
No, I haven't.
Okay, where it's like pretty much where he is like, he's always like, he had a 9 to 5 and he's just like says no to everything. And, he doesn't go to like his friend invites him to like his engagement party and he just doesn't go to it. It's just very like antisocial, he's just about his work and, his ex broke up with him and he's just very depressive. And somebody just like, I forgot how it goes, but he ends up going to this program where you have to say yes to everything. And then he just starts saying yes to everything. And he just takes him through this whole journey of like meeting new people and trying new things and eventually meeting the women of his life and whatnot. And it gets a little, at the end, he finds out that he doesn't have to say yes to everything. There's a balance, but that he does need to say yes more. Yeah. So where I was kind of like him, where I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, I was more like, okay, like somebody invited me to something. yeah, okay, fine, I'll go, and then I meet somebody there, and then, so on. And, you get curious. I'm like, oh, I want to check out more of this, and because I met that person, they're doing another show. And then I meet more people over there, I'm like, hey, like, yeah, let's connect. Everybody's like, yeah, let's connect. Okay, cool. I'm following you. There's people that I've met once in person, but I know them strictly because of social media. And I feel like I've known them for like a long time. But, it's kind of like, that's kind of how it started for me. And it's like, just like when I meet somebody and I'm like, I want to see like, I want to get to know this person. And then I find out they do something and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, let me follow, whatever you do. Like, yeah, cool. And that's just how I start connecting with everyone. And then it's just, you start to see the same faces everywhere you go eventually. When everybody's from like the same like environment, you see the same faces again and again. And then that's how kind of like you start like, oh yeah, we go way back because, we've seen each other like, everywhere. And then, and that's kind of like, you just like say yes more, get curious, don't put things off, like go out when you get an invitation to an event, a show, or hey, like, I'm going to be performing at this mall. I'm doing like a small get together in my house, just putting a small concert thing. You should come through. Yeah, sure. Cool. I'll go. Like, you go there and then see what's up. Like, it's like, just kind of like be curious with your environment and not just like trying to like meet people just to meet people. Like one, really get to know them. And two, it's like, get to explore your community more. It's like, don't just go there with the intention of like, what am I going to get out of this? It's kind of like find out, go and find out. And then everything else would just like naturally unveil itself. And then next thing you know, like a year passes and you're like, wow, look at like all these people that I know now, and you're not going to be the best of friends, but it's just like you get familiar with the community that's there already. And it's like, you eventually just, you're part of that community now. And then it's just like, you get to appreciate it more. And then the next thing is like, don't get comfortable. Don't just settle with where you are. Just keep on pushing, like keep exploring, keep getting more curious. And then after that, it's like, if there's something that you want to do, then check like, okay, like who do I know who could help me out with this?
I think that's beautifully said. I think if you're listening, play that again. For sure. 100%.
This is just from my experience though.
I think
I'm not an expert or anything. But it's just like
I think everything you said. Be confident, yo, for sure. Because you've worked to that point. You know what I mean? You own that shit.
Yeah.
And you didn't stutter. It's funny? It's funny because you're saying like, like, well, before we're doing this, maybe we're a little nervous or something, but you said that perfectly.
Thank you.
I think that's great. No, for sure. No, those are some major gems that you just dropped because everybody who've come on this podcast so far, I've personally like wanted to talk to.
Right.
And I don't, it's funny, like I don't even think about it as an interview. I don't think about like I forget the camera's here and shit sometimes. I literally just think about like, if these mics weren't here and this camera wasn't here, we'd be having the same conversation.
Right.
And low-key, I'm a little bit selfish too because I'm a little bit curious. And I'm just like, I've seen you around in the interwebs. And I'm like, I'm going to find out who the fuck she is.
Who is this girl?
Who is this girl? I need to
it's like,
find
I
out
don't know
for
if you've seen on
myself.
YouTube, there's this one person who comments on every video. I don't know if you've seen this. Is like, I forgot what the username is. Like, you go to any video and that person is there in the comment section. And everybody's like, why are you in every video?
No, but it's true, yo. It's true. And it's like, I kind of have to, I want to be like, I look at what you're doing, and I saw like you in almost like everything. And I'm just like, damn, like there's something right that she's doing. You know what I mean? And it's hard because it's hard to know everybody and then also get to that point what we were saying before that, now you kind of have to pick who you kind of working with,
right.
and trying to bring everything up. And that's like next level shit. But like, that's the basis of,
right.
Learning how to network with people, being genuine with people.
Right.
And also being selfless and selfish. Mm-hmm. There's a balance between
right.
There's
boundaries.
Boundaries.
You need boundaries, right?
Yeah.
But then also you need to be selfless enough to like not just go with the purpose of like let me let them know who I am. It's more of like I want to get to know you, what you're about. Because sometimes it's like, you're going to meet a lot of people, but doesn't mean you're going to be like this with everyone that doesn't mean that you're going to exactly like work with everyone, because, like you're going to meet people who you're like, okay, like we're familiar.
Word.
That's it. Cool. But, you just like boundaries are a must in any place, anything you do in your life, which like I feel like your own values bring it into your work ethics as well.
For sure.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, usually I do this, but because of this goal, I gotta, I guess like gotta get rid of some boundary. And it's like, no, it's like it's the same thing, because that's how you I don't say necessarily protect yourself, but you kind of like rid yourself of like possible bad experience you might have, like kind of like delays you might have in like your whatever you're trying to pursue because of like you not following some type of like, I'm being very broad right now, but it's like whatever value you might have in your everyday life, and you just kind of like let go of those values when it comes to like pursuing something, it'll get back to you, like it'll bite back. Like I was just having a conversation with a friend, not just, but I'll probably say like a year back, where it was like the conversation was like, if an opportunity presents and that this person is like, let's say shady, right? But that if you work with them, it might be like a good opportunity, would you do it? And for me, I was like, no, because I'm not about being fake. Like I want to do things authentically. And people are like, oh, it's just business, but it's like, no, because then it's like it comes to bite you right back in the butt or in the ass. I don't know if I could curse here, but
you could do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. It'll bite you right in the ass at the end. And it's like, for me, it's just like it doesn't sit right if I work with somebody that I don't feel sure about. And there was like, oh, you got to do what you got to do. And like, I know, like, if this person's like this about me and they do this, whatever, and that's the only option I got, I'll take it. And then it just kept going and going, where it's like, I was my side and it was their side. And at the end, it was like, I was like, you just got to like know that there's something else that's going to come up. And they're like, no, I just believe that if an opportunity shows up, that's it. And I'm like, well, so you don't have faith that, if you need to be somewhere, you'll get there? It's like, nah, I just feel like you just got to take whatever opportunities come your way. So it's like, it's like, what are your morals? What are your,
Hell
like,
yeah.
It's like, I feel like that's you're choosing what problems you want into your life, because the lessons that you need to learn, you're going to learn it one way or the other. And it's up to you to say, like, if you know better, then do better. Because if you're not doing better, you're gonna go crashing against the wall, and you have to detour to like get it right this time. Why would you want to put those delays into your life and into your career or into your vision? Like when you don't need it in your life, you know better, you knew better. Most of the time people say like, yeah, I knew I should have done this. And I guess, it is what it is. How many people say that?
Not a lot.
If you knew, then why did you do it? It's like, it's like, don't do that to yourself.
Facts.
Don't do that to yourself. So if something telling you like, no, then listen to that. Listen to your gut. And usually, like, for me, it's like, even if it takes a while, I'll be like, I'm glad I didn't go down this route, because this is way better than where I would have been right now.
Sometimes you just gotta play the long game.
Yep.
And have some patience.
Yep.
That's crazy. Sorry, I just had like a full circle moment, because it's something that even me and my partner Shane, we literally were just talking about this before the podcast, about playing the long game, having patience, and trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Literally the top things we were just talking about right before this. So that's perfect. Real quick, do you mind if I take this water? Or you?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm good.
I
You
got
see
another
how slow I'm
water
drinking my water.
I'm thirsty, bro. I go through water.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Quick. You know what's crazy, Marge? We're coming pretty close to the end of the podcast.
Okay,
but
cool.
there's a couple more questions I want to have. But real quick, did you have anything that you wanted to get off your chest or share real quick? Like, not like or like something that you want to talk about? Because I definitely want to give you an opportunity.
I did have something in mind before that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like steer off the topic.
Nah,
but just going back to what I said before about like there being certain artists that deserve the opportunity more than others. I also want to say to people, it's like, if you feel like I'm talking to you, if I were to say like when I said that, it's like, I would say it's like, just don't let anyone else define you, if that makes sense. Like if you feel like you're being underappreciated and you feel like, well, maybe I'm not cut out for this, it's like explore every aspect of yourself and see where your heart is. Because sometimes it's like you might love performing, but maybe you're a great, how do you say it, there are people who are great teachers and they know how to pass down that wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen like I've met people where like, yeah, I don't know if music is for me, but I'm like, maybe you're not seeing the whole picture. Maybe there's more that you need to do than what you're doing right now.
This is what I'm talking about, where it comes full circle.
And then another thing is like, I'm not saying that music isn't for you. I'm saying like, if you feel in your heart that you are meant to be a performer and stuff, then don't settle for where you are right now. Like just like I love Michael Jackson. He's my biggest inspiration, and one thing that he was a perfectionist. If you see Michael Jackson when he started off, let's say, off the wall era, I'll say even early Thriller era, when when he did like, great example, when he did the first moonwalk for Billie Jean, versus when he did the moonwalk back in like during like the late, when he last started performing in like the 2000s, 90s, you're gonna see the progress. Even when he was at his peak, he didn't stop trying to be greater than he was. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't settle for like, okay, yeah, cool, like I'm already the biggest entertainer in the whole wide world, so I'm gonna just stick to what I do. He kept on pushing and pushing and pushing, and I'm gonna be better than I was yesterday. So don't, it's like, if you feel like, just like, don't settle for where you are right now as a performer, as an artist. Always keep growing. Always take good, how do you say it? Be good at taking critiques. Because I mean, not everybody has the best intention, but there are people who do care about you and they want to see you grow. Pay attention to those people that believe in you. And, ask them like, yo, it's like, what can I work on? How can I do better? And even ask yourself, like, look back at your performances and your music and be your own critic and see, like, where do you want to see yourself grow? And like, look at your biggest inspirations and say, what do I want to implement? What do they have that I want to kind of like, what do I look up to in this person that I want to put into my own artistry, And just like, you're going to see how you're going to start like digging into like your own, dissecting every little thing about your craft and how that's going to end up looking different and evolving, and just until somebody's gonna notice and they're like, oh, this person, okay, I see you're different now. Like you know how many people I've seen like after like the whole pandemic thing, that I'm like, oh my god, that performance was the whole like, what, like 360. Like sometimes like their music was great and I'm like, but the performance wasn't, I'm like, oh, he needs to connect with the crowd more. And they're like, what? I'm like, wow, this person really did his work. Like, it's like, just those insecurities that you have, work on it and then get better and then keep on getting better. Don't settle. I just want to say that because I felt like forced, like you're saying, like, I was being nice about it, but it's like, like I'm a person who likes to help everyone. I'm like, there's a niche to everyone, and you just got to find what's your thing and then use it.
I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. And it's crazy because some of the things you said there came full circle around. Like you even saying, like, it's never not that you're not cut out for something. Because listen, I went to school for sound engineering. That's my background. And it's crazy. I talk to my partner Shane about this all the time. I talk to my partner Aaron over there about it all the time. And it's like, I didn't wake up every day like wanting to mix music. It was what I was trained for, and I was trained for a lot of other things, but I just looked at it and it's like, it's not that I'm not cut out for it, because I graduated. There was a 16 people a program, only 6 people graduated. I was one of the 6,
Okay.
And it's like, it's not that I'm not cut out for it. I could put in the work, but it's like, damn, it's like, it's just not my vibe right now. Maybe it is in the future, you never know. But I knew my calling was something else. And, to add on to what you were saying, I always say, like, definitely like, what's the word for it? It's funny, I was gonna say exfoliate your strengths. that's what came out in my expose
polish
your
it.
Yeah, polish your strengths, and definitely like, use your strengths to the best.
Use your strength and work on your weaknesses.
For sure. Because to me, I was just like, yo, as soon as I graduated, I was like, damn, I could really talk myself into any business if I want to. And I was like, but what am I gonna do over there? You know, if I'm gonna be a mixing engineer and not be happy and like, you know, just work on this and me not be like the greatest. And I just realized I was like, damn, I'm really like talking. I really
Yeah.
like talking. And then, you know, the podcasting thing came up, and then boom, you know, and then all of a sudden there's a home for people to come to for podcasting,
Right.
artists who want to do stuff, entrepreneurs who want to do stuff, networking people who want to do stuff. And, you know, we got this great studio and we're trying to make a beautiful community. And it's like, you know, I never thought I'd be in this position, but you know, sometimes people become teachers. People
Right.
become like, you know, guides for other people to make it in this industry.
Right.
No matter how far you've made it in your journey, it has value.
And there's always change. Even you might even get to where you want to, and you're like, you know what? This doesn't feel like how I thought it would. Like there's artists who made it, and they're like, yeah, this was good. I think I'm good here with this one hit wonder. I think I'm good. There's people who've done that, and then they realize, oh, maybe I should take this route. You know, like I can't think of anyone as an example right now, but
I mean, like even like Dave Chappelle, you know, like Dave Chappelle, like he dropped the whole shit for like what 10 years it was. You know, like
Eddie Murphy hasn't done stand up since the 90s, right?
Yeah, you know, and I think he did a movie, or he was trying to get back into it, but it was like, you know. You never know. You could be so
Right.
successful in so many other things, and you never know what's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
But I think that was greatly said. I have a couple more questions for you.
Go ahead, shoot.
And then we'll call
like
it.
quick questions, like
It's hard. It's like I wanted the quick questions, but they always end up like, you got into a whole conversation for it. Have you had any parts of your journey that you really felt like, damn, this might not work out, and how'd you get through it?
Any parts of my journey where I'm like, this might not work out? Yeah. I mean, I've second guessed a lot of things that, you know, I'm currently doing. You know, one thing's for sure, it's like, for example, I love dancing, but it's not what I want to focus in my life, if that makes sense. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like, I mean, I've definitely been there. Like
No.
a lot.
It's all good, dude. It's all good. It's
I've definitely been there a lot.
Sometimes it's hard to get back into those moments. Sometimes because it's just
Yeah.
like we kind of like to erase them from our memory.
Yeah.
And like it keeps us, you know, I guess it keeps the brain healthy just to keep going. But
Right.
here's a question that's another way put.
Okay.
What advice would you give yourself when you first started this journey?
Okay. Well, I would kind of say, don't get stuck on an idea, because I feel like kind of like I could apply that to, you know, let's say Bloom, where I kind of felt like I don't know if this is gonna work out, but then it's also like you got to change your perspective. It's like why can't it work out, and how can you make it work? You know, it's like, why isn't it working out? Or maybe it's because where you are in life right now. Sometimes like where I am in my life right now and what I want to do, it's like, you know, I feel like I'm not there yet. So you got to make that sacrifice of like, all right, I got to put this to the side for a little bit to make sure I want to be where I want to be in order to do what I want to do, you know? Let's see. Yeah, I think it's like all about being able to like sacrifice and making those tough decisions in order to make way for the things that you do want to do. Sometimes it's kind of like letting go of like relationships, not relationships like romantic, yes, romantic, but like friendships or people who are holding you back, you know? Those are decisions that I've had to make that is like, you know, you're like, this is tough, but then it's like it needs to happen, where it's like you just need to like kind of like change whatever habits you want to change in your life in order to do what you need to do. Because if you're always stuck in that same space and you see that it's not working out, then it's not gonna, you know, you're not gonna close your eyes and hope that it works out like next year. Because if it's been like that for a while, it's probably gonna stay that way, you know. You gotta say like, you gotta really be the bigger person with yourself and be like, okay, what isn't working out in my life? You know, what do I need to change? And just be like, and how can I do it? You know, sometimes I had to like, you know, how do you say it? Like take on like I think a perfect example for me is like I'm like I don't want to work a 9 to 5, you know, because I don't want that to be my life. People get stuck in a 9 to 5 and whatever, you know. But then it was like, you know, besides like, you know, needing like the finance to fund what you want to do, it was kind of like, you know, doing a 9 to 5. Also, like I was also like, you know, being creatives, you know, like you're always like, my peak is like I create at night. You know, it's like I need, you know, and then like your sleep schedule gets in the way, and then, you know, and then you realize maybe I could be more productive during the day. And then having a 9 to 5 just kind of trains you to like have that routine going. And then like I apply that to my own stuff where it's like, okay, I'm gonna make this my own like routine, you know. And it's like you just kind of learn things that you need to change about yourself. It's like you won't expect it to happen in the way that you think, you know. It's just kind of like you just kind of like need to be able to want it, and then just seeing the good things and things that you probably thought wouldn't have any value in your life, you know. Just yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm like derailing from the question.
Nah, it's cool. This is what happens, dude. This is what happens.
But it's like, you know, it's a lot of pretty much what you said, things that what I thought that wouldn't work out in my life. I'm like, an advice for myself is kind of like, don't put things off, you know, even if you thought, if it's not part of your vision, just because it doesn't look the way that you think it should, doesn't mean that it's not part of where you need to be, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it could be discouraging sometimes when you're in certain situations, but then you look back and you're like, you know, if I didn't go through this, maybe I wouldn't be this way, you know. So
for sure, yeah.
So I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. I don't know. There's a lot of things I said right there.
Nah, it's
Next
cool.
question.
It's cool. It's cool. I got you. All right, yo. I got this one last question for you. When I have people on the podcast, I feel like they don't realize, and what I like to think about it too is I like to think about these moments as a time capsule. You know, this is gonna be on the internet forever.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
gonna be able to look back at it and be like,
My
oh,
grandkids are
yeah.
gonna see this.
What message do you have for Margie 10 years from now?
What advice?
What advice or what message, whatever you want. You speaking to yourself right now, girl.
Oh man, what do I need to say to myself? Is your hair good? No, no, I'm just kidding. What advice is like, no matter where you are in life, know that you lived a good life, and you know, just how do you say it? Appreciate every moment. Appreciate every moment, because that's where I am right now. It's like no matter what or where I think I should be right now, I get to appreciate every little step that I take, and just like knowing it's like, wow, you know, it's like, this is pretty cool. You know, you're like, appreciate everything the way, how do you say it? Appreciate the steps that you've taken. And even if like whatever the outcome is, it's like, just make sure that, or well, that'll be for my past self, but I hope that I could look back at myself and say like, you know, I lived a good life that people could look at and just kind of like be inspired to kind of live their life and not wait for something to happen, but instead making it happen, and just not waiting for the end goal instead of just appreciating the moment and where you are right now. So so know that, you know, I'm happy where I am right now. I'm at peace. And I hope that continue to be that way, you know. Whereas like I could just, next thing I know, like, you know, my life is going probably hopefully better than I think it would. And it's just like, dude, like I just enjoyed the journey, you know, of what got me here. So
facts, respect, respect.
I don't know. I guess that's what I could say to myself.
It's great. It's great. I love it. You'll look back at this and be like, holy shit. All right, guys. Margie, please let the people know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at MarggiePV. That's pretty much where I am. So find me on Instagram, guys. On TikTok, TBA.
All right, sweet. Guys, y'all already know the business. Ayoo Podcast, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. anywhere you can find podcasts. Comment down below, leave a like on the video, share it with your grandma, share it with everybody, bro. Share it with that grandma from Peru that you know you should be calling, but you never call, bro. Go call her right now, bro. What are you doing?
Yes.
Pick up that phone, grab that old calling card. No, I'm just kidding. Call her on WhatsApp, because you know we in the future now. You remember doing those little calling cards back in the day?
Yeah.
I forgot what it is. I think it was Chulita, Chiquitita. I don't remember. But I remember scratching that shit and having to dial the shit and like learning all that shit. Anyway, guys.
Well, I just want to say first, thank you for having me on. This is pretty cool, and you're like a great host, because like you said, like, it doesn't even feel like I'm on camera. This is like a natural conversation. I feel it, like, you know, I feel like that you're genuine, like, you know, your genuinity, is that a word? It is now. You're a great host, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you for making me feel at home. So
of course, I appreciate
go follow guys.
Go follow guys. Y'all already know the business, and yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
It's a wrap.
Sweet, dude. Awesome.
That was dope.